Thank you for staying with us. So, we're still talking the current situation we find ourselves in right now.
COVID-19.
COVID-19 situation. We had the doctors talk to us about what to do, the virus, its behaviors, how we behave ourselves. So this time we're looking at you and living. And we're looking at, we called it the COVID-19 etiquette. The mask, the gloves, your mannerisms, your behavior. So to help us...
And whether you should let your neighbor in.
And whether you should let your neighbor in. Everything's changed, as the doc said. But to help us understand, we have a lifestyle coach here, Nnanke Essien. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So, Nnanke, the things, well, I think you heard the doctor when he was talking about life may never return to what it used to be. So a lot of things have changed. But let's start with this thing about, we asked him first about the mask that he was wearing. People wear the mask and gloves. We never used to wear gloves except you were riding a bike. Even then, you do certain things without bothering with gloves. So what is this thing about changing the etiquette of gloves and masks?
Well, I'll take you back a few weeks ago. If you think back at 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, our lives were just normal. You could get into your car, hug your neighbor, shake your neighbor's hands without really thinking about anything. You would go to the office, generally sit in a clustered environment, have meetings, and nothing will happen. But all of a sudden, life has given us that compulsory pause, and now we are literally thinking about every single thing we do. And I think that that's the approach that we must take, being intentional about what we do. Some of the things I did when this whole onset came up, because none of us really had the luxury to prepare, right? You go into the stores now, to buy gloves, to buy the face mask, it's a luxury. So one of the things I first of all did was to handle my immediate family, my immediate environment. So I had my nanny, my family members sit, and we watched a video on YouTube about how germs are spread, right? And doing that for me literally just puts into perspective how we should manage ourselves within this spread, particularly with our neighbors coming in. I mean, I live in an estate where we have a lot of children trying to be free and normal, and you're wondering, how do you stop them from being free? Exactly. So I had to do that sensitization first within my home, and then I had my nanny watch the video. Everybody watched the video. And then the other thing we did was to watch how to wash your hands the right way. And so you find that when somebody wants to come into the house, they say, please, that's the bathroom, kindly wash your hand. It's now become a norm. We've had a few deliveries come in within the period, and I'll just send them to the backyard, just drop it there, and then we'll clean our hands and wash it off and go. And that's the same thing I do with my neighbors as well. Nobody wants to get infected. Nobody wants to get sick. So as much as possible, I try to let them know, okay, that's the bathroom, wash your hands here, do this and do that. And in my own little way, I also provide gloves, as much as possible to people around me. And I tell them the real reason why, how to dispose it, how to take it off, how to do all of these things so that life can become a bit more normal. And like the doctor said before, it's almost impossible for things to return back to normal. Yeah. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, but I think that with sensitization and we ourselves living the path, it becomes a bit more easy.
Okay, so you said something about you hand out gloves and then you show them how to wear and how to dispose of it. Yeah. I don't know if the producers can help us get 1 or 2 gloves in here so that Nnanke can show us how that happens. But while we're waiting for that to come in, talk to us. In the course of talking with people about this whole thing that we really didn't prepare for, what has their reaction been like?
I think the reaction is still a bit around fear and anxiety because, like I said before, nobody had the luxury to plan for it. But in as much as life has given us this compulsory pause, like I mentioned before, what we need to do as individuals and as human beings is to start to think about how do we want to handle the situation going forward? How do we want to manage the different areas of our lives? And how do we want to be intentional about the different areas of our lives? Now, as individuals, we would go back to work afterwards, right? We would go back to quote-unquote, our normal lives after. What's going to happen after then? We can see...
Don't say normal. Like, we'll go back to our lives.
Our lives, right? We can see a lot of organizations started to think about, how do we cut costs? How do we get people out of... Some people are going to lose their jobs. Some people are going to lose their means of livelihood. And you're asking yourself, well, how do I cope in such situations? For me, generally, like I would say, there is a value chain around pre-COVID, post-COVID, and even within COVID. And you need to start positioning yourself to ask yourself.
I like that. Value chain, pre-COVID, post-COVID,
yes.
and even within
COVID.
No,
we can see post-COVID going on already. We can see garment producing companies beginning to produce face masks and being that flexible to be able to produce face masks. We can see even e-commerce companies beginning to deliver food, become food delivery companies. We can see virtual meeting rooms becoming the order of the day because we have so many organizations still need to have their team meetings, right? And you can see that going on. You can also see that I'm about to touch my face.
23 times an hour.
Yeah, I know. We can also see like the virtual meeting rooms becoming saturated. So there's a place to plug yourself on there to ask yourself, can I be one of the people producing or being part of people that would make life after COVID become even better? So there are places to plug yourself. And the question is that with all of this going on, are you just sitting down and rummaging over it or asking yourself, how am I going to position myself post-COVID? How am I going to position myself when things eventually come back to supposed normalcy?
Even Louis Vuitton is making sanitizers.
I know.
Here you go.
You see that going on.
Okay, so here you go.
All right. All right. So when you're putting on your masks, you have to ensure
Your gloves.
you have to ensure minimal contact with minimal contact as much as possible. So you can see that I'm using the tip of my
Can you
finger.
just turn a bit so that the camera can...
view what I'm doing? I've used my fingers. I think doing it on live television is a bit stranger. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, please cut her some credit.
Yeah.
It's our first time on live television.
On live television.
You
So
could
it's a
pick up
bit-
another one.
Yeah, I think I should. My finger's weird. Do you think I have to keep asking you questions whilst we go through
Okay,
this?
so
No.
you
There
said
go.
you do minimal contact,
Yeah,
right?
minimal contact as much as possible.
As much as possible. I'm more
And
interested
don't
in...
forget that
Are
this
your
is-
hands smaller? They seem to have slipped in quite easily.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, interesting.
There.
right. So when you're taking this off, you go here and you
From
wiggle your hand
full.
here. Yeah, that's it.
Whoa. Okay, and then what
From
happens?
the
From
center.
middle. Yeah,
From the
center.
middle.
Yeah.
Just here. Wriggle your hands in and pick it out. That's it.
Okay.
And then you trash it.
Trash
and also
it
with
and
the
then...
face mask. When you're taking it out, you don't just pull it out. You bend your face over and pull it out and trash it.
And then when you do that, what next? You now go sanitize your hands again.
Sanitize your hands or wash your hands immediately.
Okay.
Yes. Now we are told that the masks don't have to be surgical masks. You can make your own mask at home.
Yeah, with individual materials, Ankara,
Yes,
we can
so-
see people using Ankara and stuff to cover your face.
Well,
Okay, I see that you also carry your own sanitizer
I
around.
do.
It's like a gun.
I do.
Everyone carries their
Everyone
sanitizer
does.
around now.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
all right.
So that's about the mask. We were going to have a guest here talk to us about the waste that's being generated from all of this. I'm sure we'll still look at that. But besides all of this, so you that normally you open the door and it's a hug from the children and even from your husband, you now have to open the door and you're directed to...
Yeah, the bathroom. It's very important that we do that because we've come in contact with people and you can't tell who has the virus or who hasn't. We've had people who are asymptomatic, so we can't really tell who has the virus or no. One of the things I do as well at home is to use disinfectant wipes to actually clean the doors, the doorknobs,
handles,
right, the door handles and the doorknobs. So as soon as everyone comes, please don't hug. It's hard because, your kids want to hug you, but they also understand that it is deadly. And sometimes, I know it's always difficult to show them numbers, but sometimes I show them numbers of things that are going on across the world. So they know that it's also very serious. So as soon as they come, they'll be the one to shout, go wash your hands and take off your clothes. And also, I also do the sunning. Whenever I put on my clothes, once I have my bag, I still take my clothes, sun them, come back, wash my hands and stuff like that. So
Now, at the beginning of the program, he was talking about help your neighbor.
right.
So in this time of sitting at home, your neighbor might need your help and come and knock at your door. And he says, open the door and help them. And I said, this may not be the time to be opening your doors for your neighbors. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think that he mentioned something before he left about mental health issues. People really need to talk, to be honest. And I'm a great advocate for talking and letting things out. Because even though we are self-isolating, we shouldn't reduce social interaction as much as possible. And I say that with all sense of respect or decency or whatever the case may be. If my neighbor comes into the door, I would open the door. But please observe the social distance.
Yes,
and then go to the
wash
bathroom,
your
wash your
hands,
hands,
or
and
use
then
the
we'll talk.
sanitizer.
And of course, we have different cultures. The way we are sitting, you sit and we talk. You know, even in my estate, we do communal exercise, but there's a distance because you really don't want to reduce that level of interaction. It's very important because, like I said before, a lot of things are going to come out of COVID after it happens. There's going to be need for a lot of mental health counselors because people have family members who've had the situation. People have friends who might have contracted disease. Some of them might have even passed on from disease and would need support. And these are issues that I'll run away from. I go to therapy a lot, so for normal issues. So you can imagine when it's going on with a disease that we don't understand the origin, it just came on us and it's affecting the world at the same time. Right? There's going to be need, even in organizations, for people, change managers, for crisis managers, for productivity managers, there's just going to be different needs. So like I mentioned before, we need to also understand how to plug ourselves within the COVID value chain so that afterwards we can return to normalcy as much as possible.
I like that as much as possible. So let's look at this. You said you need to find a way to plug yourself in.
Right.
But that would somewhat sound like you need to take on a new habit. We're all forced into habits that we're not used to at this point in time. So how long does it take for anyone to pick up a new habit?
So statistics have said 36 days. Statistics said so. But I would say that before you can decide where you need to plug yourself, you need to understand what your baseline is as of today. Where do I stand now? Am I excited about where I am currently? Am I happy with my current situation? Are there things I want to do? Because reality, like I mentioned before, some people are going to lose their jobs. What am I going to do afterwards? How much of a safety net do I have? How much time do I need to plan? Because if you go into it head on, you would rush out of it head on. So you need to be more intentional. Just the way you pause before you open your door and ask yourself, have I sanitized my hands? You need to also pause and ask yourself, where I am currently and what is going to happen after COVID? Am I positioned right? Do I want to take on a new course? Do I want to do some online learning management or look for some online learning management programs and just take on a new course? Do I want to think about the future, what I want to see after COVID happens? Do I want to build an association of friends and let's come together and say, you know what, we can create a solution that can be viable for organizations, for individuals post-COVID. What exactly do I want to do? Before you do that, you must take a breath and actually decide what your baseline is before you can actually move forward. So you don't just wake up and do anything just because everybody's doing something. But now is the time I feel that if the world has given us that compulsory break, take it. Take the pause, take the break, and literally think through what your next steps would be so that when the time comes, you don't become reactive or follow the norm. You would have had an orchestrated plan to literally help you to take charge and get back to normal.
But what if you don't want to accept the compulsory break that you've been given? Like a lot of people are fighting it, especially those who are going from hand to mouth, who feed on a daily basis. It's what they work and they eat. And it's difficult.
Yeah, I agree. It's easier for corporations, organizations to be more flexible and more limber because they may have the budget, they may have the wherewithal and all of that.
They didn't plan for it.
But they didn't plan for it.
Yeah.
But it's more difficult for us to, and that's why I said before that the issue of social interaction should not be eradicated because you need people as much as possible. You need to speak to people.
That's why the telephones have become very useful at the moment.
Absolutely. You need to talk to people and share your concerns, share your fears. I don't want to accept this thing. It's a good position. It's a feeling. But at least you've been able to identify it. So now that you've identified it, what do you do about that identification? So that it doesn't just become, oh, yeah, I don't want to accept it. And you just sit there and relax. Life will pass you by. Literally. Life will.
Whether it's life with COVID or not.
Amen.
Okay. Now, someone tweeted a picture at me personally about how he's spending time with his wife. In fact, one of the pictures actually had him in the kitchen. I want to see if I can get his name. Actually had him in the kitchen, probably going to cook. I don't know. But
going to help out.
Or going to help out, whatever, for what it's worth. But that felt like it was good. That's Zoe Harris. He said, I'm just loving my wife. He said, what man go do without God? And him wife now. But this, for a lot of people, never happened. So it's like you're having to go back again to reinvent, to rethink strategies. Now, but is there a process to locating that baseline? Is there a process to getting used to the gloves and the mask? Is there a process?
Again, I feel that it is still based on sensitization and understanding of the situation. To be honest, it's a bit strange. Hope husband is
Sorry,
not watching.
pause. How do you understand a situation when there's so much
Going on.
there's so many theories out there? In fact, you can't really say is this one or that one. How do you understand that?
And many don't even believe that it's something that can happen to them.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, support groups, really important. But again, like I rightly said, what is most important to you? I can't answer that question for you, to be honest. You need to understand what is most important to me. Is it my family? Is it my endeavor, as in my job or my career or my business? Is it spending more time with my children? Because to be honest, I found out a lot of things in this period. I found a lot of behaviors in both of my kids, and I'm like, oh my God, I never knew this actually existed. I found that the new level of excitement, them seeing mom and dad at home. Don't forget, I told you, think back 5 weeks ago. Usually you would get home 12 midnight, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You hardly ever even see them. And you're seeing new things and you're like, how did this time pass by? For me, I'm very grateful for this time. I'm working from home, like I'm working night and day, like literally 8 to 5 p.m., sometimes 8 in the evening, right? But the mere fact that I have time to bond with the kids. Oh, go do your assignments, go get your food, get breakfast, do this, do that. I'm beginning to sense a lot of things. I've seen one who is very responsible, and I'm like, I never knew this. I've seen the other one who is much of a complainer, and I'm like, I never even imagined. In fact, I told her the other day that if they told me I have a complaining child, I wouldn't think it would be you. But yeah, but that's me figuring out some of the things that are going on in my environment. So you really need to be observant. And then ask yourself, what's most important to me? Some people are going to make critical decisions post-COVID. You're going to ask themselves, you know what, I think my family is more important to me. Maybe I can consider a different career path, or maybe I can do this or do that. People are going to think about that. But when you keep thinking about the problem and you don't focus on your immediate environment, then how do you even see the light at the end of the tunnel or decide what steps you need to take to make this richer or better, to make this experience better? I found out a lot of things, surprisingly. Even with my spouse, I found out a lot of things, and I'm like, did I leave these things for granted for too long? I'm grateful for the break. And that's how I choose to approach it.
Well, that's what we were saying at the beginning of the program, isn't it? We should
I mean-
spend this time usefully.
This.
It might never come again in your lifetime.
Yes.
Literally, it might never come again.
But we usually have lockdowns in Nigeria during the elections. It's just that a lot of people hardly stay.
You are focused on TV, you're focused on the news, you're focused on gossip sites, you're focused on social media. You're not focused on the things around you. And you know that it's for a period. There's a timeline to it. There is no timeline to what's going to happen.
By 4 p.m., the men have gone out anyway.
Literally, like we had 25 new cases overnight. So we can't tell how long this shutdown will be for.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
It's 2 weeks in the first instance.
That's it. So we can't tell how long this is. So this is almost infinite. I mean, pardon me if that's the wrong word, but this is almost because we don't have a timeline. With the elections, you can say, oh, on 28th, this is going to happen, 29th, this is going to happen. And then some people are even planning, okay, let's hang out, let's do barbecue, let's sit down. You're not focusing on the things that really matter to you. So there's really no introspective time for you to deal with your own personal issues, your family issues, and things around that.
Okay, we'll take a moment and we'll come back and look at that process of adopting a new lifestyle in this season. Do stay with us. Okay, thank you for staying with us. We do have some comments that have come in from some friends. Jackie Kitwani, we're talking about when we come back and look at the processes.
Right.
Jackie Kitwani says, we seem so lost, or we seem so stuck in emphasizing on the external hygiene, and which is okay. She says, but we must also not overlook internal hygiene. Most people do not seem to understand that aspect. If you observe all the hand washing, etc., and you keep eating junk, depleting your immune system, you are at a high risk, she says. That's from Jackie Kitwani. Akpoguma says, social distancing is of the devil. This is the reason behind COVID-19, to create hatred in the society and family. People are running from each other, all in the name of being safe. Love is dying. So there has to be a balance somewhere. So yeah, so earlier you wore one glove and you were showing us how to take off one glove, but now you're wearing the two gloves before you answer this two sides. So let's see how you handle.
All right. So you pick it in, right, this way, and oops, I missed that. And you shake it out, right? And for this one, oh, sorry, you don't take it out yet because you're going to use this part. So literally pull this as well. And so you use the one you've already taken out to pull
The
out
inner
the door.
part of the one
yes,
you took out
to
is
pull
what
it
you
out.
use to pull
Pull
it
it
out. Okay, interesting time. Some other people will say when you take this one off, then you use your clean finger and put it inside and
Inside
pull
there,
out
take it out.
whichever one. It's you guys. Anyway, the most important thing is wash your hands. But so let's get to this part about the internal and external hygiene. Eating
Alright.
healthy. She says, besides the washing of the hands, you wash your hands, you take your bath, you sun your clothes, but you still eat junk and all of that.
Right.
You're not being hygienic internally.
So I find a lot of people at this time opening the fridge door a lot more often because, again, you've been conditioned to being within an environment for an extended period of time, and your hours are not filled with your day-to-day tasks, right? So you find yourself opening the door, the fridge door, all the time. But again, the question is that, what do you want for yourself? Do you want to end up being sick, overweight, and obese? Or do you want to actually enjoy this period and live as optimally as you can? That's a question that you can answer for yourself. And then when you open the fridge door, what is behind the door? Again, is it chocolate, biscuits, and every other thing that you don't need? Or is it actually immune boosters? So if you're even opening your fridge and you're picking up those stuff, who is buying them? You're the one buying them now. So you're the one making the decision to buy those things, right? So it still boils down to the fact that, what do I want to do with my time? What do I want to do with this period? So stock up on things that, I chew on carrots a lot. Is like an easy field snack. So chew on things that are healthy for you. Chew on things that support you, boosting your immune system. Like I mentioned to you earlier, myself and my neighbors, we come together to do exercise. We dance, like literally dance, but we maintain a safe space and we dance. And we're excited when we are looking at our smartwatches and seeing how much calories we've burned, and it's a booster because you cannot remain insane within this period. Do you understand? You can't. So you must find things. And so once you're able to identify the things that matter the most to you, then you make steps or plans to be able to fill them up within your environment.
Someone sent out a message in my estate yesterday. Guys, let's go out and play football. Sitting at home is driving me crazy. Someone responded, that will contradict the whole purpose of our being locked down. We're supposed to maintain social
But
distancing.
you can do, there's a way we used to kick the ball to each other.
Yeah, so
You can-
pass one, pass two.
Yeah.
Well, that's not playing football.
So
That's
that's
part
the
of
thing. So
playing
you can
football.
improvise. It doesn't have to be straight jacket.
You will still have to tackle.
No.
Tackling, football is tackling.
It's pass one, pass two. Man, when did you, which generation? which generation are you? Because in our generation, we understand pass one, pass two.
What is pass one, pass two?
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so
I can tell them they can come out and play pass
They
one,
can
pass
come out
two.
and play, but they will understand. Tell them.
Okay,
They will.
I'll post it today. Guys, come out and play pass one,
as if
pass
they're
two.
not already playing the pass and
They're
pass
not,
too.
because they were totally put off when the person said, social distancing.
No,
Then
but you
we
can
can't play
improvise.
football.
There are other things to do. You can play tennis. You can
Play tennis.
And tennis,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
All
can
clubs
play
are
tennis.
shut.
No. Within your estate now, you just put a table with a wood and then.
Oh,
hit and
table
pass the
tennis.
ball.
Okay.
Yeah, you can play table tennis.
Yeah, somebody had posted
Even
that.
Novak Djokovic was put
In his
chairs
living room.
in his living room, lined
Yeah.
up couches,
And you
was
can
playing
you
over
can
there.
roll
Just grab
tires.
a-
You can do different. There's so many exercises.
it's
Or
that
you can
pro-
just walk.
Or you can walk. Literally.
It's that processing. What do you think is limiting that processing towards seeing the good out of this?
We don't take time out to, pardon me, we don't take time a lot to introspect. I don't want to use the word think, but we don't take time out because we are busy with so many other things outside the environment that we forget the internal. We forget the struggles that are going on inside of
And
us.
habit as well. We're so used
We're so
to.
used to that fire brigade lifestyle that
Yeah.
we don't have time to introspect. And it's very important as individuals that you take time out to quiet the noise around you. We never had that luxury 5 weeks ago. Now you have it. Take it. Like, I don't know how to preach this much. Take it. Take some time to really think through what has gone on in Q1. We're in Q2 now. And just ask yourself, did it excite me? Did it make me feel like I was getting closer to the kind of person I want to be, to my purpose, to the life I want to live? Or do I feel that there's something more I can do? Do I feel that there's something more within my talent base that I can bring out and use to literally live the life I've actually wanted? Do I think so? Nobody's stopping you from doing the thinking now. Nobody's stopping you from doing the introspection now. Nobody. There's no boss stopping you. Yeah, there are times when you have to go for your meetings, but you also need to take that time because a lot of people are so much in that space where they want to feel the time fast. You're feeling the time fast, but you're feeling it with things that are external. You're not feeling the time with things that are that make you, literally, that are connected to you, that make you one with yourself and one with your purpose. And it's about time we start to do that. And like I said, this length of holiday or pause might not happen again. So this is the time you need to take some time to do that introspection. And if you do need help, like I said, if you can't understand the thoughts that are in your mind, there are people who have gone on that journey before you. Ask. You know, you have your religious leaders, you have your older family friends, you have even your friends that might be towing that path that you have told before. You have people on professional sites like LinkedIn that you can even, you know, reach out to them and ask them, these are the thoughts I'm having at this particular point in time. What does it mean? How do you think it can lead me to where I really want to go? I like to imagine like there's a mountain in front of you, but there are amazing things across the mountain, but you have to go around the mountain first. But the question is that those things, can you itemize those things you're seeing across the mountain? And does it make any direct impact to you? Like if it feels like a part of you, you feel like you want it, you will go for it. But if you feel like, well, I can do without it, it doesn't really matter, somebody else dictates my life anyway, then you won't be looking forward to going across the mountain. So for me, it's look across the mountain, ask yourself, there are so many amazing things, list those things, and then create a step-by-step process together. And don't let anyone to interfere with your process, except they are going to help you get across the mountain. But if you start allowing the noise of the world, social media, things that are going on in the world to drown you, you drown your own voice down, and you really don't live your life optimally. So it's about time that we take some time to introspect.
Okay, so someone says, you're talking about houses with fences and gates. How do you control children in villages, open houses, no running water? Some house doors are open 247 without a lock, even within Abuja. Think about it. Saying, well, how can the poor manage this situation?
Okay, so I've been privileged to be able to work in donor-funded environments where we had to go to the hinterland, literally, to these places. And I've seen that there are several people that have influence over them. They are community leaders, they are youth leaders, they are religious leaders, and people within their immediate environment that they respect. If we can sensitize those people, I mean, there's a task force, the COVID task force team. It's not only to flog people and chase them out, it's to also let them understand the reasons why, sometimes even visually, which is what I did with my own immediate family as well. So if you can sensitize those people can easily trickle down the message to those in the village. A friend of mine said he called his grandmother, who is about 78 years old. She's also 86 years old. She's also in the village. And she picked up the phone and said, why are you calling me? Didn't you hear that there's the way she said the corona something. She said it in a very funny way, right? And he was happy because it means that his grandmother has heard and she understands, the reality of things. So if we can get those religious leaders, those community leaders, those youth leaders, people that they actually respect, sensitize them enough in the language they understand, I'm sure the information will trickle down. And as much as possible within their environment, they can take the right precautions.
Please, Ma, what is pass one, pass two? That isn't football now. You must tackle, dribble, and score. Pass one, pass two would be more boring than this lockdown.
Well, you must also understand that when you are trickling and you're passing, there's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of bodily fluid and stuff like that. So you want to ask yourself, when people are shouting and spitting at each other, you want to ask yourself, which is more important for me, to catch the virus, playing the football and enjoy, or to do pass one, pass two? The choice is actually yours.
Pass one, pass two is like standing in a circle
yes,
and you're kicking the ball to each other. You can do your lobbing, but you do tap, tap, tap and pass
you
to the next
tackle
person.
or pass. So
with social distancing and all of that. Okay, thank you so much. Before we let you go, one last one. Jumoke says, social distancing, the advice is stay home and limit interaction outside the home. Please don't encourage pass one, pass two. This can be done when we are easing out of COVID. So don't encourage anything.
No, but even in the UK, I mean, whilst they were putting out the postulation for staying at home, they said you're allowed to do one exercise. Right. It's very important. Blood must flow now, right? So you're allowed to do one exercise.
But you can do exercise in your house.
You can do in your house.
But did you see the guy in Germany, the young 18-year-old who came onto the street and got people on their balcony and was doing, he was a gym instructor.
Oh,
okay.
Fantastic.
So he was in the middle of the street, brought his loud music along, and people were on their balconies.
Amazing.
Doing the
That's a good
exercises.
One. So in place of pass on, pass two, you can do that.
Thank you so much, Nanke. So finally, if you had a word of advice to people out there, new habits, new environment, completely strange situation unknown to them, what would you be saying to them?
How do you handle it?
How do they handle it?
I would start by saying, spend some time with yourself. Spend some time with yourself. I don't know. I can't overemphasize the idea of spend some time with yourself, and again, have a baseline, have an understanding of where you want to go, which is your actual, and find steps or create steps to get there. There's so many resources. Trust me, we are not lacking resources at the moment, but you also want to take some time to think about the future of work, the future of life, the future of the different environments we find ourselves, and ask yourself, what are the trends? The trends are already showing up, right? The trends are showing up. There's virtual offices, there's people reorienting their organizations, there are people reorganizing the way they do things, there are people changing their operational models. There are people currently at the moment that I know that are letting every voice within the organization be heard and deciding which one they're going to pick to go for, which I think is a very brilliant thing to do. So spend some time with yourself, identify the future that you desire for yourself within your immediate environment, and start to create steps. And where you find that you can't understand these things, please don't hesitate to reach out and speak to people.
Thank you very much. Nanke is a lifestyle coach. Thank you for spending today with us.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you well as you continue to stay home, stay with the family, and sanitize and be healthy.
Stay safe.
Thank you. So, as we'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us.